TheTrueCrimeRewindPodcast. Welcome back to True Crime Investigation Unsolved. I'm Anthony Greeno, and today we're diving into the heart-wrenching case of the Delphi murders. But this story isn't just about tragedy. It's about the relentless pursuit of justice. And the unsung heroes who made it all possible to be in trial today. Kathy Shank, a retired CPS worker, volunteered countless hours to help solve the Delphi murders. I had the opportunity to ask Kathy a couple questions, and I jotted down some notes. And I'm going to use AI to represent what she said. The first question I posed to Kathy is, can you tell us about the moment that you found that crucial tip?
It was September 2022. I was digitizing old tip files when I came across a misfiled report labeled Richard Allen White labeled. It caught my eye because it mentioned Allen being on the trail the day Abby and Libby went missing. I knew something wasn't right. So I brought it to the lead investigator, Tony Liggett.
That tip turned out to be a game changer. Richard Allen was arrested shortly thereafter. My next question was, Kathy, you've been a volunteer on this case since 2017. What drove you to keep going?
I just wanted to help. Those girls deserve justice. Young men and women like yourself, and all of these beautiful people here to be supportive, give our community strength and hope.
Kathy Shank's dedication and keen eye for detail have been instrumental in bringing Richard Allen to trial. There's talk of reward for her efforts. Kathy, do you think you deserve that reward money?
Money isn't an objective. And I couldn't stand by and do nothing. Every tip, every piece of information could be the key to solving the case. I appreciate the thought. But honestly, I did it because it was the right thing to do. If the reward helps keep the investigation going and brings closure to Abby and Libby's families, then that's all that matters.
My message to Kathy Shank is that your selflessness and commitment to justice is truly inspiring. Thank you for your tireless work on this case. And if anyone deserves the reward money, it's you. Because in a world where justice can sometimes feel out of reach, it's the dedication of people like Kathy Shank that keeps hope alive. Stay tuned for more updates on the Delphi murders trial right here on True Crime Investigation Unsolved. I'm Anthony Greeno. Justice for Abby and Libby.
Coming up tonight, the True Crime Rewind podcast. We take you back into the Delphi murders. But this time, case closed. This is episode 1. The Delphi murders. The final chapter.
Podcast. Into the dark and mysterious world of the missing and murder. You seek the answers, but you never know what you'll find last. The
Delphi murders trial, a case that gripped the nation for nearly 8 years, has finally reached its conclusion. But the sentencing of Richard Allen today isn't just about closure. It's a pivotal moment that could reshape how we view justice in the digital age.
Rewind. True Crime Rewind Podcast. Rewind. True Crime Rewind.
Hi, everyone. My name is Marv, alongside investigative journalist Anthony Greeno from the True Crime Rewind podcast, now available on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. Anthony is live in Delphi for the sentencing hearing for Richard Allen, the convicted bridge guy in the murders of Abby and Libby in February 2017. Anthony, I know it's been an emotional journey for you and the community there in Carroll County, and it's been such a long road to get here. Can you give us a quick recap of where we stand as we head into the sentencing?
Well, we're looking at a community on edge, waiting for the final chapter in this tragic story. Richard Allen was convicted on all 4 counts of murder for the deaths of Abby Williams and Libby German. The prosecution is pushing for the maximum sentence of 130 years, while the defense is arguing for the minimum of 45 years per count. But here's the kicker. We're already hearing rumblings about an appeal.
An appeal even after such a seemingly conclusive trial?
Exactly. The defense team has been laying the groundwork, claiming Allen's confessions were coerced and questioning his mental state during the trial. It's a strategy that's not uncommon in high-profile cases like this, but it adds another layer of complexity to an already emotionally charged situation.
So what can we expect from today's proceedings?
Today's going to be intense, no doubt about it. The sentencing is set to start at 9 a.m. Eastern Time, and we're anticipating some powerful victim impact statements. Becky Patty, Libby's grandmother, is confirmed to speak, and there's a possibility we'll hear from other family members too. These statements often provide some of the most emotionally resonant moments in a sentencing hearing.
I can only imagine how difficult that must be for the families. How has the community been coping as they await this final step?
You know, it's been a mix of emotions. There's relief that the trial is over, but also a sense of apprehension about reliving the painful details of the case. I spoke with several locals who expressed a desire for closure, but also a lingering fear about how this tragedy has changed their tight-knit community forever.
It's fascinating how a case like this can have such a profound impact on a small town. Do we have any sense of the broader implications this case might have?
Oh, absolutely. This case has been groundbreaking in many ways. The use of social media and technology in both the crime itself and the investigation has set new precedents. We're talking about a case where crucial evidence came from the victim's own cell phone, a video that captured the suspect's voice and image. That's something law enforcement and legal experts will be studying for years to come.
Right. And it's not just about the technology, is it? This case has also sparked important conversations about child safety in the digital age.
Exactly. It's been a wake-up call for parents and communities across the country. We've seen increased awareness about online predators, the importance of monitoring children's social media activity, and the need for better education about digital safety. In a way, this case has become a tragic catalyst for much-needed discussions about protecting our kids in an increasingly connected world.
So, looking ahead to the sentencing itself, what are some key things our listeners should be watching for?
Well, there are a few critical elements to keep an eye on. First, the judge's remarks. They often provide insight into the reasoning behind the sentence. Second, any statements from Richard Allen himself. It's not uncommon for defendants to speak at sentencing, though, given the defense's strategy, he might remain silent. And finally, the reaction from the community and the families. This sentencing isn't just about numbers, it's about the emotional closure for a community that's been waiting for justice for nearly 8 years.
And what about after the sentencing? You mentioned a press conference earlier.
Yes, that's right. About 30 minutes after the sentencing concludes, there's going to be a press conference. We're expecting to hear from the families, law enforcement, and possibly others involved in the case. It's likely to be an emotionally charged event, providing a platform for those most affected by this tragedy to address the public directly.
It sounds like today is going to be a watershed moment for this case and the community. What would you say is the most important takeaway for our listeners?
I think the key takeaway is that while today marks the end of one chapter, it's also the beginning of another. The sentencing of Richard Allen doesn't erase the pain of what happened to Abby and Libby, but it does provide a measure of justice. Moving forward, the legacy of this case will likely be its impact on how we approach child safety, digital evidence in criminal investigations, and community involvement in solving crimes. It's a somber reminder of the challenges we face in the digital age, but also a testament to the power of persistence and community in the pursuit of justice.
Well said. It's clear this case will have ripple effects far beyond Delphi, Indiana. Thank you for your insights and dedication to covering this story.
Thank you. And to our listeners, we'll be providing live updates throughout the day as this landmark case reaches its conclusion. Stay tuned for our coverage of both the sentencing and the press conference. This is a day that's been nearly 8 years in the making, and we're committed to bringing you every development as it unfolds.
Okay, everyone, let's jump back into the studio with Marv and on scene in Delphi, Indiana at the Carroll County Circuit Court with true crime investigative journalist Anthony Greeno. This is the sentencing hearing for Delphi Murders Bridge Guy in the Down the Hill double murder case against Richard Allen.
You're watching and listening to
a dual live stream broadcast
brought to you by Microsoft, Copilot 2, 11 Labs, Opus Clip, and StreamYard.
The power of connectivity.
Click the affiliate links in the description of this video for special offers and promotional discounts when you purchase through Greeno Productions. So what are you waiting for? Give your content the boost it deserves with Greeno Productions, where we make dreams reality.
The Delphi Murders. A chilling case that's captivated the nation for years. But what if I told you the most shocking twist was yet to come? Today we're diving into the unexpected developments that have turned this investigation on its head.
Wow, that's quite an opening. What new information has come to light?
Well, it all centers around the arrest of Richard Allen in October 2022. This local pharmacy technician had been hiding in plain sight in Delphi for years. It's a twist that nobody saw coming, especially considering how many other suspects had been in the spotlight over the years.
That's incredible. So, how did law enforcement finally zero in on Allen after all this time?
That's the million-dollar question. The details are still somewhat murky, but it seems that a combination of old-school police work and new technology finally cracked the case. You know, it's like something out of a true crime TV show, the killer living right under everyone's noses the whole time.
It does sound like a plot from a crime drama. But let's back up a bit. Can you remind our listeners about the basics of the case?
Absolutely. So, on February 13th, 2017, two young girls, Abigail Williams, 13, and Liberty German, 14, went for a hike on the Monon High Bridge Trail in Delphi, Indiana. They never returned home. The next day, their bodies were found near the trail. The case quickly gained national attention, partly due to a piece of crucial evidence, a video Libby had taken on her phone, capturing both an image and audio of the suspect.
Right? I remember that chilling audio clip of the suspect saying, "down the hill." It really brought home the horror of what these girls experienced.
Exactly. That audio clip, along with a grainy photo of the suspect on the bridge, became the centerpiece of the investigation. For years, law enforcement received thousands of tips, but the case remained unsolved. There were several persons of interest over the years: Daniel Nations, Charles Eldridge, James Chadwell, but none of them panned out.
And then there was that whole Anthony Shots social media profile situation, right? How does that fit into all of this?
Oh man, that was a huge development. In late 2021, police released information about this social media profile called Anthony Shots. It turned out to be created by a guy named Keegan Klein. who had been in communication with Libby shortly before her death. This opened up a whole new avenue of investigation, focusing on online predators.
That must have been a game changer for the investigation. Did it lead directly to Alan's arrest?
Well, that's the thing. It didn't, at least not directly. The connection between the Anthony Schatz profile and Richard Allen isn't clear yet, but it did highlight the potential role of social media in the case and brought attention to the broader issue of online predators. You know, it's a stark reminder of the dangers lurking online, especially for young people.
That's a sobering thought. So how has this case impacted the community?
Oh, it's been devastating. This small town of about 3,000 people has been living under a cloud of fear and suspicion for years. The community lost its sense of safety and privacy. Parents became more protective of their children, local businesses suffered, and there was this constant tension of not knowing if the killer was among them, which, it turns out, he allegedly was.
That's heartbreaking. And now, with Alan's arrest, I imagine the community is experiencing a whole new wave of emotions.
Absolutely, there's relief, of course, but also shock and betrayal. I mean, this guy was a familiar face in town, working at the local CBS. People are grappling with the idea that they might have interacted with the alleged killer on a regular basis. It's like finding out your neighbor is secretly a supervillain, you know?
That's a pretty intense comparison. So what's next for the case? I understand the trial is set for October 2024.
That's right. The trial is scheduled for October 2024, and it's going to be a closely watched event. The judge recently ruled that statements Allen made in prison can be used in the trial, which could be crucial evidence for the prosecution. But the defense isn't going down without a fight. They've made several attempts to change the venue and remove the judge, showing just how high stakes this trial is.
It sounds like it's shaping up to be quite a legal battle. What kind of evidence do we know about so far?
Well, we know about the video and audio from Libby's phone, of course. There's also reportedly an unspent bullet found at the crime scene that was linked to a gun owned by Allen. And now we have these prison statements, but in high-profile cases like this, there's often evidence that the public doesn't know about until the trial, so we might be in for some surprises.
That's true. And speaking of surprises, this case has had its fair share over the years. What do you think has been the most unexpected twist?
Oh man, where do I even start? I think the biggest shocker was definitely Allen's arrest. Here's a guy who had been living and working in Delphi all along, even participating in community events related to the case. It's like something out of a psychological thriller, The killer hiding in plain sight, maybe even taunting the community. It's chilling.
It really is. So, as we wrap up, what do you think are the key takeaways from this case so far?
Well, I think there are a few important points. First, it's a reminder of the power of persistence in criminal investigations. This case went unsolved for years, but law enforcement never gave up. Second, it highlights the importance of digital evidence in modern crime solving. Libby's quick thinking in recording the suspect might have been the key to eventually cracking the case.
Those are great points. And I'd add that it also shows the impact of community involvement and media attention in keeping cold cases alive.
Absolutely. And finally, I think it's a stark reminder of the need for vigilance, both in our physical communities and online. The Delphi case has raised awareness about child safety in a way few other cases have. As we look ahead to the trial, let's remember that at the heart of this sensational case are two young girls whose lives were cut tragically short. Their memory has driven this investigation forward and inspired so many to keep fighting for the truth.
Well said. It's been a long and winding road to get to this point, but hopefully the trial will bring some measure of closure to the families and the community of Delphi.
Exactly. Let's remember that while the wheels of justice sometimes turn slowly, they do turn. The story of Abby and Libby and the long road to this trial is a testament to that enduring truth, and keep seeking justice.
I'm Marv, and together with my good friend Anthony Greeno from True Crime Rewind, we're taking a deep dive into the tragic and heroic stories of Abigail Williams and Liberty German. These two girls are true heroes in this epic battle for redemption, a long, hard-fought road full of tears, controversy, and criticism, but also love, a love that binds two friends together to the end, and a love that kept Delphi strong. Today, we encourage you to raise awareness and be a voice for the victims of unsolved crimes. These are the stories of Abigail Williams and Liberty German.
As we take you beyond the evidence in a True Crime Rewind exclusive into the Delphi murders.
Welcome back. Today, we honor the life of a remarkable young girl whose light continues to inspire many. This is the story of Liberty German. Liberty Rose Lynn German, lovingly known as Libby, was born on December 27, 2002 in Lafayette, Indiana. She was the beloved daughter of Carrie Timmons and Derek German, and the granddaughter of Mike and Becky Patty, as well as Brad and Terry German. Libby also had a close-knit family that included her sisters Kelsey German, Glenna Myers, Alexis Timmons, and Hayden Timmons. Described by those who knew her as curious, kind, and full of life, Libby was a typical teenager with big dreams. She was deeply passionate about science, even taking classes at Purdue University, with aspirations of becoming a science teacher one day. Her grandfather, Mike Patty, often recounted how Libby loved to conduct experiments and craft projects, showcasing her inventive mind. Her love of the band, playing her instrument, and music in general was also a passion of Libby's. Libby loved spending time outdoors, especially with her best friend Abigail Williams. Whether they were hiking, taking pictures, or just hanging out, nature was a significant part of her life. Her love for photography was evident in the countless photos she took of flowers, landscapes, and cherished moments with loved ones. Her grandmother, Becky Patty, shared, "We were always amazed at what she was able to see through her lens." Sports were another important aspect of Libby's life. She played volleyball, softball, soccer, and was also a swimmer. Her former softball coach, Bridget Stevens, fondly remembered Libby's enthusiasm. Even if you were having a bad game, Libby would try to get everyone back in a better mood. Her family spoke about the excitement she had for the upcoming softball season, a passion that was tragically cut short. Libby had a remarkable ability to make others feel good. Her grandfather, Mike Patty, remembered how she always tried to brighten people's days. Libby's mother, Carrie Timmons, shared how her daughter's presence of mind led to capturing crucial evidence during their darkest hours, calling her a hero. Creative and generous, Libby was known for her baking skills, quickly whipping up batches of cookies for everyone to enjoy. She also loved painting and crafting, often making personalized gifts for her teachers and family. Her Aunt Tara German shared, "Libby left thoughtful notes and made sure to spread kindness wherever she went. In Libby's spare time, she enjoyed spending time with her family, friends, and siblings. Whether it was playing catch, going on family vacations, or staging fun photo shoots with her sister Kelsey, Libby's life was filled with love and joy. Her ability to touch the lives of those around her has left a lasting impact. Today, Libby's memory is honored through various initiatives, including a scholarship fund and a softball field in her name. The community's outpouring of support and the tireless efforts of her family continue to keep her legacy alive. Liberty German's story is a testament to a life lived with passion, kindness, and a love for learning. Her legacy continues to inspire and remind us of the importance of cherishing every moment with our loved ones.
Anthony and I wouldn't be where we are today without the story of Abby and Libby. Their story inspired us to stand up for the truth, demand accountability and transparency, and advocate for those affected by tragedy. To seek justice, not just for Abby and Libby, but for all victims of crime. Their journey has been a catalyst for our own paths.
I wouldn't be who I am today without Abby and Libby, and the loss of my best friend, Michael J. Catt. This case has taught me a lot about patience, pride, and perseverance. Marv's journey has led her along a similar path, but her love for the people of the Hoosier State is beyond reproach. Together, we form an alliance built around care, trust, and respect. Compassion fuels the fire as we seek the answers.
It's clear that these two have made an impact, not just on Marv and Greeno, but millions of people around the globe. In honor of their memory, Marv and Greeno, along with a few others, have dedicated a memorial near the center section of the trail, one that those from afar could contribute to. It's the sight we all see in the news. The sign and that photo. Did you know that Greeno is the one who made that? He also gave one to both families of the girls. And in return, they gave him bracelets that he gave to those who came and bear witness to the historical story that tells a remarkable story. The image is marking a haunting reminder of the devastation felt these last nearly 8 years, but also a testament to the truth, giving hope that we would lead here to this very day and minute. Right now, the sentencing for the man responsible for claiming the lives of these two precious souls. Today is a glimpse of closure, but in a sense, that never really comes. But this is the final moment where we can all say, for the final time, today is the day.
Gone, but never forgotten. Your stories in my veins. Though the pain is real, the love we feel keeps you living on through joy and strain.
As we take you beyond the evidence in a True Crime Rewind exclusive into the Delphi murders.
Today, we take a heartfelt look at the life of Abigail J. Abby Williams, a young girl whose light continues to shine brightly in the hearts of those who knew and loved her. Abigail Williams was born on June 23, 2003, in Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan. From the very beginning, Abby's joyful spirit and infectious smile brought immense happiness to her family. Her parents, Anna Williams, and her grandparents, Cliff Williams and Becky Patty, adored her deeply. Abby was the only granddaughter of her grandfather, Cliff Williams, who cherished every moment spent with her. Abby had a special bond with her Aunt Maggie, with whom she shared a love for knitting and crafting. Abby was known for her warm heart, creativity, and vibrant personality. She had a passion for arts and crafts, constantly exploring new creative endeavors. She smiled all the time, her mother, Anna Williams, recalls. She had more crafts than you know what to do with. Bracelets, canvases, beads, chalk, paint, you name it. Abby enjoyed being outdoors, a trait she shared with her best friend, Liberty Libby German. They spent countless hours exploring nature, often visiting the Manon High Bridge, a favorite spot for many in their community. In addition to her artistic pursuits, Abby was an active and engaged student at Delphi Community Middle School, where she played the saxophone in the school band and participated on the volleyball team. She was an avid reader and always eager to learn new things. Abby's grandfather, Cliff, fondly remembers their shared love for the Andy Griffith Show and their countless hours spent shopping, watching movies, and simply enjoying each other's company. Abby was my best friend, Cliff recalls. She was right there with me all the time. Abby was just so kind-hearted and pleasant, her mother, Anna Williams, says. She loved to make things to give to people and just loved to be around people. She and Libby were amazing artistic girls who brought so much light to their families, recalls Anna. They were such great kids. In memory of Abby, her family has launched several initiatives to honor her spirit and keep her legacy alive. One of these initiatives is the Abby's Angels Shoebox Project, where boxes filled with toys, school supplies, and hygiene products are sent to children in need. Additionally, the Abby Williams and Libby German Memorial Park, complete with ball fields and an amphitheater, stands as a testament to their love for the arts and sports. I see beautiful things for our park and our community, says Anna. A place where joy can live, right where you can see joy and remember Abby. Abigail Williams's life was tragically cut short, but her memory continues to inspire and bring people together. Through the efforts of her family and the community, Abby's legacy of love, creativity, and kindness endures.
Anthony and I wouldn't be where we are today without the story of Abby and Libby. Their story inspired us to stand up for the truth, demand accountability and transparency, and advocate for those affected by tragedy. To seek justice, not just for Abby and Libby, but for all victims of crime. Their journey has been a catalyst for our own paths. Abby and her family have helped me how to better handle situations when sensitive topics are being discussed. I found that it's easy to hurt the feelings of another, even with good intentions. They've taught me how to think longer term before making comments and public information.
I wouldn't be who I am today without Abby and Libby, and the loss of my best friend, Michael J. Catt. This case has taught me a lot about journalism, activism, and community involvement. The family of Abby and Libby give me strength, knowing that they too care and help others in the midst of pain and sorrow. There is always hope for tomorrow. This has ultimately led me to be able to maintain confidentiality, to protect information that preserves the integrity of the case. Thank you, Abby, Anna, Eric, and Diane. And from the bottom of my heart, I'm so sorry for anything I've ever said that may have inadvertently affected you in a negative manner. I hope this closes a chapter, and you continue to stand proud that the girls received justice. Marv's journey has led her along a similar path, but her love for the people of the Hoosier State is beyond reproach. Together, we form an alliance built around care, trust, and respect. Compassion fuels the fire as we seek the answers.
Thank you for joining our live stream today. If you like the content, then consider subscribing to both Anthony Greeno and Marv, super chats, and stickers welcomed. Highlight your question or comment for priority status on immediate responses directly from the hosts. You can also contribute on Cash App and PayPal. These donations are what funds our true crime endeavors for traveling to assist with missing persons, unsolved murders, and other true crime stories that are trending now.
Justice served, but at what cost? Today we're diving into the Richard Allen case, a tragedy that's left an entire community grappling with the aftermath of unthinkable violence.
It's a heavy topic for sure. Can you give us a quick rundown of what happened?
Well, Richard Allen was just sentenced to 130 years in prison for the murders of Abigail Williams and Liberty German in Carroll County, Indiana. The judge, Francis G., handed down 2 consecutive 65-year terms, 1 for each murder. And get this, she emphasized that Allen's actions were among the most heinous she'd encountered in her 27-year career on the bench. That's saying something, considering the cases a judge must see over nearly 3 decades.
Wow, that's just chilling. How are the families coping with all of this?
It's been absolutely devastating for them. Libby's mother, Carrie Timmons, described the last 8 years as absolute hell. Can you imagine living with that kind of pain for so long? And what's particularly disturbing is the judge's observation of Allen's behavior during the proceedings. She criticized his lack of remorse and even noted that he was rolling his eyes at times. It's hard to comprehend such callousness in the face of so much suffering.
That's just, I don't even know what to say. It's horrifying. You know, cases like this often have ripple effects beyond the immediate families. How has the community been affected?
Oh, the impact has been profound. This case has really galvanized the community in ways we don't often see. They've set up several initiatives to honor Abby and Libby's memory. There's Abby's Angels Shoebox Project, a memorial park named after both girls, and even a scholarship fund and softball field in Liberty German's name. It's like the community is saying, we won't let this define us, but we will let it drive us to make a difference.
That's incredibly touching. It's amazing how tragedy can sometimes bring out the best in people. But I have to wonder, how does a small town move forward after something like this?
Well, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? It's a delicate balance. On one hand, there's a desire to heal and move forward. But on the other, there's a commitment to never forgetting and to using this tragedy as a catalyst for positive change. The ongoing advocacy for justice in all missing and unsolved cases is a prime example of that. It's like the community is transforming their grief into action.
That's a powerful perspective. And in a way, that's a meaningful legacy for Abby and Libby, inspiring a movement for justice and remembrance that extends far beyond their own case.
Exactly. And it's important to note that while the sentencing of Richard Allen brings a form of closure, many people involved have acknowledged that true closure may never fully arrive. It's a reminder of the lasting impact of such a tragedy. It makes me reflect on the ripple effects of violent crime, how it doesn't just affect the immediate victims, but entire communities and even people across the country who follow these cases.
That's so true. And it underscores the importance of supporting victims' families and communities long after the headlines fade. The initiatives we've discussed, the scholarship funds, the memorial park, the advocacy work, they're all part of a longer-term healing process.
Absolutely, and perhaps that's one of the key takeaways from this case, the importance of sustained support and remembrance. It's not just about the moment of justice being served, but about the ongoing process of healing and honoring those we've lost. It's about creating a legacy that transforms tragedy into a force for positive change.
Well said. And it's worth noting how this case has brought attention to the broader issue of missing persons and unsolved crimes. It's as if Abby and Libby's story has become a rallying cry for advocates seeking justice in other cases.
That's a crucial point. Their story has indeed sparked a wider conversation about how we handle these cases, how we support families of victims, and how we can work to prevent such tragedies in the future. It's led to increased awareness and potentially even changes in how law enforcement and communities respond to similar situations.
And let's not forget the role of technology in this case. The fact that one of the victims managed to capture audio and video of the suspect on her phone played a crucial role in the investigation. It's a stark reminder of how our digital footprints can be powerful tools for justice.
Absolutely. It's both chilling and inspiring to think about. A young girl's quick thinking in a moment of terror potentially helping to solve her own murder. It speaks to the bravery of these girls in their final moments. And it's led to discussions about personal safety and the importance of being aware of one's surroundings, especially for young people.
That's true. It's a difficult balance, though, isn't it? We want to empower people, especially young women, to be safe, but we also don't want to create a culture of fear. How do we strike that balance?
You know, that's a complex question without an easy answer. I think it comes down to education and community support, teaching situational awareness and safety skills, while also fostering a community where people look out for each other. It's about creating an environment where safety is a shared responsibility, not just an individual burden.
That's a great point. And it ties back to how this community has come together in the wake of this tragedy. They're not just mourning, they're actively working to create a safer, more connected community.
Exactly. And that's perhaps the most powerful legacy of all, a community transformed by tragedy, but not defined by it. They're channeling their grief into positive action, whether it's through advocacy, education, or simply being there for one another. It's a testament to the resilience of the human spirit.
It really is. I think it's important to remember that behind every headline, every court case, and every sentence handed down, there are real people whose lives have been forever changed. The story of Abby and Libby and the community's response to their tragic loss is a powerful reminder of that.
Well said. And while we may never fully understand the depth of pain experienced by those closest to this tragedy, we can all play a part in supporting justice, remembering the victims, and working towards a world where such crimes become increasingly rare. It's about honoring the memory of Abby and Libby, not just through words, but through actions that make our communities safer and more compassionate.
That's a goal worth striving for. And it's a reminder that even in the darkest of times, there's potential for light, for communities to come together, for positive change to emerge, and for the memory of those we've lost to inspire us to be better.
Absolutely. As we move forward, let's carry with us the lessons learned from this tragedy. Let's remember the importance of community, the power of resilience, and the ongoing need for vigilance and compassion. And most importantly, let's never forget Abby and Libby, two young lives that, though cut short, have left an indelible mark on so many. Stay safe, stay connected, and keep making a difference in your communities.
Today, the final chapter in the Delphi murders is moving swiftly. As yet another update just moments prior to the final production of this episode, a notification sent from Richard Allen that he was refunding the remaining balance of funds rather than taking the funds with him. Tonight, we talk about prison, intake, and life inside the walls of a level 5 maximum security prison, a place every convicted felon sentenced to prison would attend. From well-known celebrities like Guns N' Roses lead singer Bill Bailey, otherwise known as Axl Rose, famous boxer Iron Mike Tyson, Jared Fogle from Subway, and even Anthony Greeno. Something he isn't proud of, but is appreciative of the experiences he endured that helped make him an expert in the field, providing a unique perspective with multiple points of view based on life events, past mistakes, and a willingness to change. Today, we wrap up the final phase of the Delphi murders. This is the last ride for the infamous bridge guy, as he just went down the hill to the prison where he will remain until his release date of April 26th in the year 2120. A special thanks to today's guest for an awesome team coverage collaboration and a friend and my go-to advocate for opinion, commentary, and analysis, Marv from Beyond the Evidence. Thank you for seeing this case through till the end. And now, the host of the True Crime Rewind podcast, Anthony Greeno. This is Season 1, Episode 1, The Delphi Murders, Final Chapter.
Welcome back to the True Crime Rewind podcast, where we delve deep into some of the most chilling and mysterious criminal cases Cases that not only make you question the world around you, but also leave an eerie shadow lingering long after the story has ended. Today's episode is one that brings us closer to the harrowing case of Richard Allen, the infamous bridge guy, the man convicted of the murders of Abby and Libby in the small, once peaceful town of Delphi. It's a case that has gripped the nation and sent waves of horror across Indiana, as the details surrounding these murders have continued to haunt not just the families of the victims, but also the community that never expected to be torn apart in such a horrific way. If you are new to the podcast, I'm Anthony Greeno, and I welcome you to our deep dive into this dark, tragic case. For those of you who have followed me from my former channel, Investigation Unsolved and True Crime Investigates, I am a native of Delphi, Indiana, and these tragic murders have encouraged all of us to become more involved and be a voice for victims of unsolved crimes. Thank you for coming along on this journey to the True Crime Rewind podcast. Your support means everything to me, and I can promise you that as we continue to uncover the darkest of true crime stories, we'll be pushing the limits of your understanding and keeping you hooked until the very end.
Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you'll never miss another bone-chilling episode. If you're as fascinated by the unknown as I am, trust me, you won't want to miss the dark twists and turns that await.
You're watching and listening to
a dual live stream broadcast
brought to you by Microsoft, Copilot 2, 11 Labs, Opus Clip, and StreamYard.
The power of connectivity.
Click the affiliate links in the description of this video for special offers and promotional discounts when you purchase through Greeno Productions.
So what are you waiting for?
Give your content the boost it deserves with Greeno Productions, where we make dreams reality. It was a morning much like any other, the kind of morning that feels deceptively normal until you realize that something about it feels wrong. The clock on my desk read 11 a.m. when the notification came through. I reached for my phone, expecting nothing out of the ordinary, but what I saw next sent a shiver down my spine. The HomeWave app, a simple notification, and yet this one was far from simple. It wasn't a new message from a contact. No, it wasn't a reminder or a task to be completed. It was a refund for commissary funds I had sent to Richard Allen, the man now behind bars for the brutal and unspeakable murders of Abby and Libby. Richard Allen? I stared at my screen, the words refund blinking back at me. My mind raced. I had sent those funds weeks ago, money that would allow Allen to purchase basic necessities in prison. But why was it being refunded? Why now? It didn't take long to find out. The notification informed me that Allen had been transferred to the Reception Diagnostic Center, RDC, in Plainfield, Indiana. RDC, a level 5 maximum security facility, is where new inmates are placed for assessment. It's a facility where the darkest, most dangerous individuals are taken. Men like Allen, who had just been convicted of one of the most horrific crimes this town had ever seen. But it was more than just the notification of his transfer. It was the implications behind it. It was the reminder that this man, Richard Allen, had killed 2 innocent girls. And now, as I read that his fate had been sealed in a maximum security prison, I couldn't help but feel the weight of what had just transpired. I was there in that courtroom just a short time ago, watching as the world seemed to turn upside down for Allen. The judge, Fran Gull, had handed down the maximum sentence, 130 years in prison. The room had been thick with tension, thick with the sense that justice had, at long last, been served. But even as Judge Gull spoke those final words, condemning Allen for his actions and decrying the lies of his defense team, there was something in the air, something dark, a sense of foreboding that clung to the proceedings like smoke in the air. Perhaps it was the sheer weight of the case. Or maybe it was the fact that, even in his final moments in the courtroom, Allen had not shown the slightest bit of remorse for what he had done. His defense team had tried to create a diversion. They tried to shift the focus from Richard Allen to other unrelated suspects, claims of corruption, stories about supposed ties to Odinism, anything, really, to cloud the truth and inject doubt into the case. They painted a narrative of ritualistic sacrifice, a theory as unfounded as it was bizarre, claiming that the murders were part of some grand, twisted religious act. But Judge Gull had been clear there was no evidence linking any other suspects to the murders. The witnesses, the testimonies, all of it pointed directly to Allen. No one else had been in Delphi at the time of the murders, just Richard Allen. And with that, the gavel came down. The man who had taken 2 innocent lives, who had shattered the lives of 2 families, was sentenced to a lifetime behind bars. The courtroom breathed a collective sigh of relief. But what about the man who had been sentenced? Richard Allen, once a free man, now found himself bound by a different kind of reality, a reality in which freedom no longer existed. This morning, when the HomeWave app notified me that the remaining funds I had sent to Richard Allen were being refunded because he had been transferred to the Reception Diagnostic Center, RDC, in Plainfield, Indiana. RDC is a level 5 maximum security prison where new inmates undergo extensive examinations. In the next 10 to 45 days, Allen will be in complete lockdown for 23 hours a day, either in the older ranges with rusted bars and rats, or the newer pods with heating and air conditioning. His experience will be similar to mine back in 2014 when I spent time at RDC. The atmosphere inside the Reception Diagnostic Center, RDC, in Plainfield, Indiana, was a world that most people will never know. It was a place where fear gripped your chest, and every step you took felt like it might be your last. I had never been to prison before. I had no idea what to expect, only that the unknown was a suffocating weight pressing down on me every second. The day I arrived at RDC, I wasn't sure if I would make it out alive. And I mean that literally. The fear was overwhelming. What did this place have in store for me? This facility, this place designed for the worst of the worst, was where every new inmate in the state of Indiana was first brought. It wasn't a mere holding cell. It was the beginning of an inmate's journey into an unforgiving world. The unknown dangers, the corrupt officers, and the brutal men who walked these halls. All of it seemed like a nightmare unfolding in real time. I was pulled from a holding cell and shackled, hands bound, feet cuffed, nothing like I had seen in any movie. I thought to myself, this is it. I was about to face something I had only heard about in hushed whispers. The bus ride was long, the air thick with tension. You could smell the sweat and fear of the other men, guys who had been through this before, who knew exactly what was coming. We finally pulled into the gates of RDC, and my heart nearly stopped. Guards, dressed in dark uniforms, stood like statues at the gates. A dog team, trained and deadly, walked around the perimeter, sniffing for drugs or weapons. A heavy, military-like presence made the place feel more like a fortress than a correctional facility. The sound of gates slamming shut echoed in my head. My fate was sealed the moment I stepped off the bus. Inside, everything was filthy. Grimy walls that hadn't seen a lick of paint in years, floors stained with the residue of untold horrors. The stench of sweat, urine, and something else I couldn't identify clung to the air like a physical force. You could taste the dirt, the grime, and the anxiety of the men around me, all of us packed in like animals for slaughter. I was led through the hallways, narrow, fluorescent lights flickering above us as we passed cells. Some locked, some not, but all looked the same. Grimy and hostile. I had heard the stories. Inmates who were killed over the smallest infraction, the unspoken rule. The moment you entered, you had to fight to survive. And in this place, survival wasn't guaranteed. When they called out my name, my body went cold. Number 132757. Take off your clothes. Everything. And just like that, in front of 25 other men, some of them hardened killers, I had to strip down, naked and vulnerable. No one told you this part of the process. There was no dignity here. There was only shame and fear. The guards didn't care if you were nervous or humiliated. You were now a number. You were now just one of the many. No one cared who you were or what you had done. Your name was gone. The guards barked out commands as I stood there, helpless. "Hurry up," one officer sneered. I could feel his eyes burning through me, trying to make me feel smaller than I already did. One by one, each man was processed in the same degrading way. And if you were lucky, you weren't immediately sent to the medical area where the delousing process would begin. Spread him, squat, cough, lift your sack, all phrases used as you're checked for contraband. If you were unlucky, though, you'd be forced to sit naked on a wet, dirty concrete floor, while other men walked around in what the convicts and guards called the snake pit. For reasons you can already imagine. Keeping your head down, but maintaining awareness, avoiding the possibility of getting strong-armed or shanked for something as simple as a cookie or peanut butter sandwich. The delousing chemical stung like acid as it was sprayed all over me. It burned my skin, leaving me itching and uncomfortable. The guards barely cared, watching as the spray hit your body, only to be rinsed off with cold water under the harsh glare of fluorescent lights. It was meant to break you, and it worked. This place wasn't built to rehabilitate. It was built to crush every ounce of humanity left in you. I was then led to a small room where I had to stand in front of a mirror, only this time, it wasn't just me. Behind the mirror sat a group of women, taking note of every mark on my body, every scar, tattoo, and distinguishing feature. They wrote it all down like I was just another case to be processed. As the hours passed, I felt the weight of the situation sink deeper into my bones. No one cared about you here. No one cared who you were before or what you had done. You were an inmate now, just another cog in the machine. Your name was erased, and all you had left was your number. They didn't see you as a person. They only saw your status as a criminal. And just when I thought it couldn't get any worse, the worst was yet to come. The guards handed us brown paper sacks with tiny hygiene kits, nothing more than a small bar of soap, toothpaste, and a toothbrush. This was the extent of your dignity in this place. They didn't give you anything you didn't need to survive. Nothing extra, no comfort. At one point, I was thrown into a cold, damp cell, surrounded by men who looked at me as if I were prey. Some of them were killers, men who had murdered, who had been to hell and back. And they looked at me as if I would never leave this place. The whole experience was terrifying. The unknown was worse than anything I had imagined. I had no idea who I could trust. The cops were corrupt, the inmates were animals, and there was no escaping the violence that lurked around every corner. I saw men being beaten, stabbed, and even killed, often for the most trivial reasons. It was a place where a look or a misstep could be the last thing you ever did. As my intake continued, I began to hear the whispers. This wasn't just any case. I was in the same place as Richard Allen, the infamous Delphi murderer, the man who had killed Abby and Libby. His face had been plastered across the news. His story was everywhere, and I kept hearing the phrase, "You're a dead man walking." Josh Lank had said it in court.
Richard Allen, you're a dead man walking.
It was chilling. That's the world I found myself in. Just days after a trial that convicted Richard Allen for the murders of 2 innocent girls. And now, here I was, surrounded by past thoughts from my own life struggles, that I was once there, the place I wanted him to be, with the very people who would make him pay for his crimes. I checked the Indiana Department of Corrections database, and there it was. Richard Allen, IDOC hash 273819, listed as being in the Reception Diagnostic Center, a place where they start processing every new inmate, including someone as notorious as him. He'd be locked down 23 hours a day. The isolation, the waiting, the endless hours of nothing. And I thought about the misery ahead of him. The exact process I had gone through in 2014, the terror of it all. The intake process was designed to break you, make you a part of the system, strip you of your dignity. Allen's days ahead would be spent in a dark, grimy cell, just like the day of June 14th, 2014, my first day in a maximum security prison. As I sat there remembering the way I felt while thinking about what Allen was about to endure, my mind drifted back to 2014, the time I spent at RDC. I remember the feeling as if it were yesterday, the cold, unyielding metal of the shackles cutting into my wrists as I was transported to the facility, the smell of stale air, the dampness that seemed to permeate everything. I remember the harsh lights overhead, the relentless noise of guards shouting orders, the eerie silence between them, the kind of silence that makes you feel like you've stepped into a different world, one where you have no rights, no voice, where you are nothing but a number lost among thousands of others.
Join our community and support the True Crime Rewind podcast. This episode of True Crime Rewind is sponsored by Opus Clip, Clip Anything. Transform your content with Opus Clip, the ultimate tool for clipping and sharing your favorite moments. Perfect for YouTubers, streamers, and anyone looking to create compelling content quickly and easily.
Users can use natural language prompts, whether sentences or keywords, to find any scene, action, character, event, emotional moment, viral topic, and more. Use the Opus Pro Greeno affiliate link for your discounted free trial and begin cutting your editing time in half.
11 Labs, voice integration software. Bring your voice to life with 11 Labs, the most advanced voice integration software available. Ideal for podcasters, creators, and storytellers who want to make their content stand out.
AI audio research and deployment company. Their mission is to make content universally accessible in any language and in any voice.
A research team develops AI audio models that generate realistic, versatile, and contextually aware speech, voices, and sound effects across 32 languages. Then a product team tailors these models to the needs of everyday users, prosumers, and businesses.
This technology is used to voice audiobooks and news articles, animate video game characters, help in film pre-production, localize media and entertainment, create dynamic audio content for social media and advertising, and train medical professionals. It has also given back voices to those who have lost them and helped individuals with accessibility needs in their daily lives.
Microsoft Copilot, your ultimate companion. Enhance your productivity and creativity with Microsoft Copilot, your ultimate AI companion for writing, brainstorming, and more.
New channel alert.
True Crime Rewind Podcast. Subscribe to stay updated on the most compelling true crime stories and exclusive insights. Help us reach our goal of 500 subscribers to unlock new features and content.
Become a VIP member of our newly developed website.
Support the channel. Your support helps us bring you more engaging and informative content.
Support via PayPal or Cash App.
Join StreamYard. StreamYard is the easiest way to create professional live streams. Perfect for hosting interviews, webinars, and more.
I knew what awaited Alan. I knew that when he entered RDC, the process would begin. The intake process, a stripping away of everything that once defined him, the delousing, the medical evaluations, the intrusive examinations, all designed to break a man down, to remind him that in this place, he was nothing. He was just another face in the crowd. The first thing they'll do to Alan is make him undergo a rigorous screening process. They'll strip him of his dignity. Everything about him will be examined. His body, his mental state, his health. They'll take his DNA, run tests, and scan for any signs of disease. It's all part of the process. It's all about control. And then there's the mental health evaluation. The professionals will assess his psychological state. Because a man like Richard Allen, he has to be broken down. It's not just about understanding his crimes. It's about ensuring that he knows he no longer has control over his life. He's trapped. Just like all the other men in RDC, one of the most harrowing things he'll face is the film they make you watch, the Prison Rape Elimination Act video. It's a shocking, disturbing film designed to show you the realities of life behind bars. They make you watch it over and over until the message sinks in. You are no longer free. You will face violence. You will face pain. And if you're not careful, you may not make it out alive. Richard Allen will experience all of this in the coming days. His life, as he once knew it, is over. He will be forced into lockdown for 23 hours a day in a small, isolated cell. No one will visit him. No one will hear his voice. For all intents and purposes, he will disappear from the world. And when it's all said and done, Richard Allen will never leave the confines of prison. His release date? A date so far off, it might as well be an eternity. April the 26th, 2120. That's the earliest possible release date. But make no mistake, he will never see the outside world again. There are 5 levels. 1 is the minimum risk. I was classified as a level 2 and sent to the Westville Correctional Facility. Allen will be transferred to his long-term housing in 45 days. His classification is still pending, but there's little doubt about where he'll end up. Based on the violent and sexual nature of his crime, it's all but certain that he'll be classified as a level 4 inmate. And that means he will likely be sent to one of the toughest, most dangerous facilities in the state. Michigan City, Westville, Wabash Valley, Pendleton, all places not so luxurious. Allen's fate will be determined by a series of factors: his past criminal history, his behavior in custody, his mental and physical health, and a host of other variables. He could end up at Wabash Valley Correctional Facility, one of the most notorious prisons in the state, where dangerous offenders are housed. If that happens, he'll be sent to the Secured Housing Unit, or SHU, where isolation is guaranteed. It's a grim place filled with murderers, rapists, and other violent offenders, a place where you learn quickly that mercy is a foreign concept. Or he could be sent to the Miami Correctional Facility, a bleak institution in Bunker Hill. It's a place known for its harsh conditions, a place where prisoners often lose their humanity over time. It's not just the guards you have to fear there, it's the other inmates. And if you don't fit in, if you are seen as weak or different, the consequences can be deadly. But there's something that weighs on me, the lies that were told during the trial. The defense team's claims about Odinist guards, about a supposed connection between the murders and a pagan religious cult. It was a last-ditch effort to muddy the waters, to create doubt where there was none. These allegations were debunked. The defense's entire strategy fell apart under scrutiny. There was no evidence to support the theory that the murders were part of some twisted religious ritual. There was no proof that any guards at Westville, or anywhere else, were involved in such activities. It was all lies, lies designed to manipulate the narrative, lies designed to protect Richard Allen, to distract from the fact that it was him, only him, who had taken the lives of Abby and Livy, the one I had been in, surrounded by the sounds of violence, corruption, and the ever-present threat of death. The air would be thick with fear, and each passing day would feel like an eternity. He would face the same humiliations, the same degrading treatment, the same relentless routine that had nearly shattered me during my own intake.
But the real danger would come when he was finally thrown into the general population. Prison life is a brutal game of survival, and Richard Allen was now just another face among hundreds of hardened criminals, each with their own scars, their own stories, and their own reasons to kill. There were whispers of men being marked for death, the weak singled out like prey, those who couldn't fight, those who couldn't defend themselves, like Allen, would quickly find that prison justice is swift and unforgiving. There would be no allies in this place, no one to stand by him. No one would care about his conviction, his sentence, or his appeal. Here, the law didn't apply. It was about power, control, and fear.
As the days dragged on at RDC, Richard Allen would be subjected to the same harsh treatment that awaited all new inmates. His body would be scanned, probed, and examined. Medical staff would take his blood, saliva, and hair follicles. A full-body X-ray would be taken, and then he would sit through the EPREA, Prison Rape Elimination Act training, a reminder that he wasn't just an inmate, he was now a target. But despite all the attempts to break him, to strip him of his identity, there would always be the looming knowledge that his actions had led him to this moment, that he was not some anonymous convict. He was the bridge guy. The atmosphere at RDC was one that couldn't be described until you've experienced it. The smell of sweat, desperation, and fear was suffocating. The guards, some indifferent, others sadistic, watched over the intake process with cold eyes. They didn't care about your past. They only cared about making sure you knew where you stood beneath them. There was no kindness here, no compassion. The inmates, who had been there longer, they didn't care either. Their eyes were hard, their minds sharp, and they knew how to make you feel small. Some of the guards were even worse. They reveled in their power. I remember one in particular, a tall man with a cruel grin who would make eye contact with you as he passed by. The look in his eyes said it all. He could hurt you if he wanted to. And in prison, that threat wasn't just words, it was real. A guard could make your life miserable, could force you into situations where the only way to survive was to give in to the same violent instincts you were fighting so hard to avoid. That was the environment Richard Allen would face in the coming weeks. The unknown had been terrifying for me, and I had been a nobody in that place. But for Allen, the fear would be even more suffocating. The name, Bridge Guy, was enough to make everyone in that prison see him as a target. The whispers would start the moment he stepped foot onto the range. The other inmates would know who he was. They would know what he had done. And in prison, there is no forgiveness. There is no mercy. And as I think about all of this, I can't help but wonder how long it will take for Richard Allen to break. How long before the weight of his guilt, the constant threat of violence, and the shame of what he did to Abby and Libby finally push him to the edge. His journey through RDC is only the beginning. He's been sentenced to 130 years. But in a place like this, time doesn't matter. What matters is whether you can survive the people who want you dead.
Before we conclude today's episode, I want to take a moment to thank each and every one of you for your continued support. Without you, none of this would be possible. If you haven't subscribed yet, please take a moment to do so. Help us reach our goal of 500 subscribers and join us as we continue our journey through the darkest corners of true crime, where artificial intelligence and true crime collide.
Remember to like, comment, and share this video. The conversation is far from over. Your thoughts and opinions are just as important as the stories we tell.
In a world of true crime, every saint has a past, and every sinner has a future. On that note, everybody, I'm Anthony Greeno. I'm Anthony Greeno.
We'll see you next time on the True Crime Rewind podcast. And remember, the truth is out there.
Somewhere.
Thank you for joining us today on the True Crime Rewind podcast. I'm Anthony Greeno. Stay tuned for episode 2. This is episode 1 of the True Crime Rewind podcast, The Delphi Murders, the final chapter.
Unsolved mysteries, voices lost in time. She did deeper, uncover the crime. Beyond the ends where justice matters. Martha voice breaking all the patterns. Facts and theories, clues and controversy. Join the journey, uncovering the unsolved murders, jury trial, she uncovers with every clue, every story unfolds. Relentless, have passion, bold. Beyond the evidence, where justice matters. Martha voice for the voiceless, breaking all the patterns. Beyond the evidence, where justice matters. Martha voice for the voiceless, breaking all the patterns. Justice will be found. This is the evidence where justice prevails. With love leading the way, truth never fails.
Well, what's going on, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, or wherever the hell you're watching from? I'm Anthony Greeno, and yes, bet you didn't know I was live right now, did you? I'm sure you didn't. What's up, ladies and gentlemen? How the hell are you? So this is going to be my brand new channel, the True Crime Rewind Podcast, and on this channel, I'm going to be talking about true crime cases, not just the Delphi murders. The Delphi murders case is a case that has haunted myself and my community for years. And it's a case that is very dear to my heart. It has a lot of controversy, intrigue, and just real crazy information that's come out about this case. And you know, in sitting around talking about this case for so long, it has changed me as a person. And when I say change me as a person, I mean like literally, it has changed me. It's made me a different person throughout all of this. And I'm sitting here and I'm going through some stuff right now. So I'm looking through some of my stuff here as I'm talking to you guys, which is probably why I'm not on the video right now. But I wanted you guys to be able to talk to me and ask me questions if you wanted to. I know it's kind of like spur of the moment, and it's late. For those of you that are on the East Coast, it is late. And I haven't streamed so long, I forgot how. I could not figure this thing out at all. Not at all. I couldn't figure any of this shit out. I was sitting there, Marv's like, texting me. She's like, "Hey man, you're echoing," and I'm like, "Yeah, I don't know what to do. I can't fix it." I feel like a beginner again for some reason. I think it's just been so chaotic and hectic that it's easy to, kind of like just overlook all that stuff and just kind of like look past it and go on to, daily life, because I haven't been streaming at all. And, there's a lot of people that have sit back and they're like, what are you going to do when Delphi's done? What are you going to do? And I pretty much told everybody, before, is like, look, I'm not a true crime YouTuber. I'm really not. I'm not a guy that I don't watch TV. I don't listen to the radio. I don't watch movies. I don't go anywhere. I literally just stay home and make videos. And by me just staying home and making videos, it keeps me out of trouble. And when I stay out of trouble, that's a good thing. Trust me. Trust me that it's a good freaking thing if I keep my ass out of trouble. And I have been. And like I told everybody when I came back here, for those of you that didn't know that I was going to come back here, pretty much caught most of you by surprise. Just about everybody. I caught everybody by surprise, except for a few select individuals that knew I was going to be here. And I told those people I was going to be here because I had the full intention on coming back to Indiana and taking care of my legal obligations with the court so I could successfully see this case to a close. And I did. And had I not done that, I would have felt an empty void in my life. I would have felt like I failed. I would have felt like I failed Michael Catt, you, myself, my family, and everybody else that has supported me and been there to whether fund things or just watch and support those, like the videos and the content that I've been putting out over the last 8 years. I felt like I would have let you down. So I didn't let you down. I did not let my own personal situation get in the way of that. I decided that it would have been best to just face it head on and take care of it. And that's exactly what I did, was to be able to go in, take care of that, and walk away and have nothing for anybody to hold over my head. Nothing. There's nothing anybody could hold over my head now. Do you know why? Because there's nothing there. And do you know how good that feels? It feels absolutely amazing. It's taken me to new heights, new confidence, and it's almost like a sigh of relief, I guess I should say. A sigh of relief that, through all of everything, it has basically just taken it to a whole different level of being able to cover things and talk to you guys about different things. So there was one person in here that I wanted to show you guys. Now, it echoed earlier. I don't know if it's going to echo now, but I want you guys to see this because this person really deserves some focus. And I have an interview with this person. I haven't released it yet, but I'm going to release it. And I have other interviews, more one-on-ones like I had with Doug Carter that I already aired. And I've got other individuals that are be joining the podcast, experts, law enforcement, and witnesses. that were involved in the case will be joining me right here on the True Crime Rewind. And so you're going to have to stay prepared for all that. The purpose of the True Crime Rewind is also to satisfy Microsoft, which is one of the sponsors for Murder on the Monon. They're actually the leading monetary sponsor for the series, with a monetary contribution of $17,000 plus the integrated AI systems that they've provided. Now, the purpose of their sponsorship is to obviously fund the documentary series, but they want me to be able to use artificial intelligence to be able to try to use that in crime solving and podcast streaming. And so that's what I'm here to do. So I've designed a multi-model AI API assistant, or it's called an API agent, and I've custom designed it. And what I've custom designed it to do is I've custom designed it to go on to like all types of media outlets that cover crime, like Crime Nation, True Crime News, Court TV, all those sites with the most trending true crime cases. The system is actually going to go through these, look at all these, check out the analytics on each one of them, check out what the most high profile case is, what the most trending case is based on my YouTube analytics. And then it'll generate a script, create my voice, and make a video to it. And I don't have to do anything at all except create the agents. And I've already created the agents, except for one more. I have one more to create, and I'm having a tough time doing it because the tutorials are very, very difficult to follow on these, and it's a lot of information to process. And I'm trying to rush through it, so it's hard as fuck to do. So yeah, bear with me on that, but check this out. I'm going to show you guys this. I'll be back here in just a minute. This is the hero of the day. Welcome back to True Crime Investigation Unsolved. I'm Anthony Greeno, and today we're diving into the heart-wrenching case of the Delphi murders. But this story isn't just about tragedy. It's about the relentless pursuit of justice and the unsung heroes who made it all possible to be in trial today. Kathy Shank, a retired CPS worker, volunteered countless hours to help solve Delphi murders. I had the opportunity to ask Kathy a couple questions, and I jotted down some notes. And I'm going to use AI to represent what she said. The first question I posed to Kathy is, can you tell us about the moment that you found that crucial tip?
It was September 2022. I was digitizing old tip files when I came across a misfiled report labeled Richard Allen Whiteman. It caught my eye because it mentioned Allen being on the trail the day Abby and Libby went missing. I knew something wasn't right. So I brought it to the lead investigator, Tony Liggett.
That tip turned out to be a game changer. Richard Allen was arrested shortly thereafter. My next question was, Kathy, you've been a volunteer on this case since 2017. What drove you to keep going?
I just wanted to help. Those girls deserve justice. Young men and women like yourself and all of these beautiful here to be supportive. Give our community strength and hope.
Kathy Shank's dedication and keen eye for detail have been instrumental in bringing Richard Allen to trial. And now there's talk of reward for her efforts. Kathy, do you think you deserve that reward money?
Money isn't an objective, and I couldn't stand by and do nothing. Every tip, every piece of information could be the key to solving the case. I appreciate the thought, but honestly, I did it because it was the right thing to do. If the reward helps keep the investigation going and brings closure to Abby and Libby's families, then that's all that matters.
My message to Kathy Shank is that your selflessness and commitment to justice is truly inspiring. Thank you for your tireless work on this case. And if anyone deserves reward money, It's you. It's you. Because in a world where justice can sometimes feel out of reach, it's the dedication of people like Kathy Shank that keeps hope alive. Stay tuned for more updates on the Delphi murders trial right here on True Crime Investigation Unsolved. I'm Anthony Greeno. Justice for Abby and Libby. Hey, what's up? I see you guys sitting there. So I am just going to show you guys a couple things here before I go on with this, just so you guys can see it. And then I will set you guys up with a live stream tomorrow, and then I will go ahead and answer your guys' questions. So if you have a question or your burning desire to talk shit, bring it. I'm more than ready for you to talk shit now, because hell, I'm game to talk shit back. So I will be giving you guys an update tomorrow, and I will be giving you guys a glimpse into kind of what I'm working on and how this is all going to work. So thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for tuning in with me tonight. Thank you for listening to the podcast. Go over and check it out on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and right here on YouTube. Check it out, True Crime Rewind Podcast. And I guess till next time, ladies and gentlemen, I will see you guys tomorrow, and keep it Southern style, yo.
True Crime Rewind Podcast. This is the True Crime Rewind Podcast. This is the True Crime Rewind Podcast. This is the True Crime Rewind Podcast.